Well, I'll tell you this. After seeing this movie, I do not trust magicians. I guess I never really did anyway. Let's talk about Black Phone. Hey, what's up, guys? So we're going to talk about Black Phone, directed by Scott Derrickson. He did the first Doctor Strange movie, Sinister, and then I believe The Exorcist Emily Rose. So obviously you can kind of see he has more of a horror-ish background. Obviously Doctor Strange, the second was a little bit more horror than the first one, obviously with Sam Raimi. But Ethan Hawke plays the villain or the killer. His name is, basically they call him the Grabber in the movie. And then also Mason Thames plays Finney, who's kind of the main character of this movie. And then Madeline McGraw plays his younger sister. So basically, the movie's based on the phone Black Phone, or the book Black Phone Stories by Joe Hill. Obviously, if you've watched a couple of other videos, I'm a fan of Joe Hill. I've been reading more of his stuff. Obviously, the son of Stephen King, but goes by Joe Hill because, seems like you wouldn't want the last name King to kind of overshadow anything that you've done. But I will say Ethan Hawke does a great job being a kind of creepy, scary, serial killer, basically, for the most part. The way he dresses, the way he acts, how he portrays himself is definitely really weird and creepy. And, he has a little bit of backstory. Not too much, honestly, in this movie. It's more of, he's creepy because he's creepy. I'm sure there's a lot more in the book. I just haven't read all the way through it yet. So basically, Finney gets kidnapped, and then there's a black phone in the room that he's kept, and then basically the dead children that have been kidnapped and murdered before him are on the other line, basically kind of helping him through, how to escape or what he should expect and stuff like that. I don't want to get too much into the movie because obviously you should go see the movie and form your own opinion. That's what I like to do with a lot of the movies, regardless of what critics say or anything like that. I just like to discuss movies, so that's what we're doing here. I will say Mason Thames does a great job. He has a really good story arc. So basically, the beginning of the movie, he kind of starts off as like a young, scared kid, gets bullied a lot, which it seems like that's a really big, obviously Stephen King did that a lot, where like there's a lot of bullies in his books. And the parents aren't really the greatest, and obviously you build off of, personal experience. So, and I know there was some issues with, him and his dad and all that. So that kind of gets portrayed in this movie. And then from what I've read, some of the, in the book as well. So you kind of get that story arc where, he's really timid and scared and stuff like that, and kind of builds himself up, and, he kind of becomes almost the hero-ish of the movie. Also, his sister almost steals the show in this movie. She's really great. Acting's really great. I would say just acting overall in that entire movie is great. She, is kind of a little badass in her own little way. Definitely tries to protect her brother a lot more. And then she seems like the older sister, even though she's younger. And then there's also a kind of a supernatural to this story. Which obviously you have to if dead children are talking on a phone to somebody else. But there's also something, I know the trailer kind of hinted at a couple things with the daughter, and, she sees visions and stuff like that. So I don't want to get too in depth with it, just if you haven't watched any of the trailers or something like that. But there's a supernatural aspect to it, but it's an awesome little, I guess if you would call it a twist, maybe not a twist, because they kind of released some of that information already. I will say this, the movie has great pacing. It's only an hour and 42 minutes long or somewhere around there, but you never seem to be in a dull moment. They're building up the Grabber, and, they're showing that he's extremely villainous and scary. And then, basically he gets taken, and you spend time with him and Ethan Hawke's character. And then you basically kind of go back and forth between like the daughter and them trying to find him and stuff like that. So there's not really a slow time in this movie, which, I mean, I think it's great because you never slow down, you never sit there and, okay, come on, let's keep going, get through it, stuff like that. So great pacing. I will say this, Tom Savini and his special effects team, great. He did a lot of the makeup and stuff on the kids. He created the mask that Ethan Hawke wears. It looks great. Also, too, it's really, I mean, you might be able to see it in the trailer, but it's split into two pieces. So basically, he can wear, you know, the regular face, the horn face, and then he has the face piece down here as well, or the mouthpiece that has like a frowny face, smiley face, stuff like that. So he kind of intertwines them, and I know there's probably more of a meaning to that. If he's about to kill somebody, or if he's, whatever he's trying to do, whatever mental state he's in, that's how he changes it. And there's a certain part where his mask gets messed with or something like that, and you can see that mask is really more of just a mask for him, and that's how he, gets away with it in his head, is because he's wearing a certain mask, and maybe he, something along those lines. But it's really cool to see those change throughout the entire movie, depending on what mood he's in or how he's feeling and all that. So yeah, I would say, I mean, it makes me want to finish reading the book. I think I'm like a chapter or two in. I tried to read it before the movie came out, but unfortunately, things came up, work and all that. But, I definitely want to read this book now, especially seeing this story. And I know there's a lot more detail in the book than there was the movie. I can guarantee that there's certain things in the movie that you see and you might think kind of like, I'm sure there's more meaning to it, especially with the black phone and certain things that are said about it and stuff like that. But obviously you can't put it into a movie because then the movie's going to be 3 hours long and nobody's going to want to see it. I will say this too. There was a lot more comedy than I thought would be in this movie. A lot of it is, her, the daughter, she does say she's very vulgar. So when she's talking to the cops and stuff like that, especially when they don't believe her at first, there is a lot of back and forth with them, and she gets pretty vulgar with them, which is pretty funny. I will say a couple of, I guess, jokes or, supposed to be funny lines in the movie come in really serious situations. So some of them kind of felt a little flat for me and almost took me out of one of the serious situations that was happening, late end of the movie, probably around the mid-third act or so. But it was still, I mean, all the funny parts in the movie were funny. They landed pretty well. Like I said, it just seemed like that one or two times where it kind of just pulled me out, and it seemed like, let's make a joke after the fact, not right in the middle. And also too, I think it was just the audience kind of laughed at a couple things, and obviously hearing other people laugh and you don't find it funny, it's just, kind of throws you off a little bit. But it wasn't that bad by any means. And again, I'm sure if you rewatched it, they're funny. It probably stuck a little easier at that time than I was thinking of it. But that's just, me thinking, why would this be funny? If I was in that situation, I wouldn't make a joke. I'd be running. But yeah, overall, I would say, I mean, Blumhouse does another good job with another good, another good movie. Obviously, it seems like they're pushing out a lot of horror, obviously, because that's what they are. So that's just their wheelhouse. They got to keep up with A24 too and their horror movies, because A24 has been putting out great movies. But yeah, by all means, I would 100% go see this in theaters. It's definitely really good. There's a lot of tension building scenes. There are a couple jump scares here and there. The makeup on the kids, especially, how they're killed and all that. The makeup looks fantastic. Obviously, Tom Savini, I mean, he's the best in the business. If you hire him, you're not going to have a problem with makeup whatsoever. But yeah, so did you guys see it? Are you going to see it? Have you read the book? Do you like Joe Hill? Do you like all his writing? Do you like some of his writing? What do you guys think? Just leave it, down in the comment below. And then again, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification down at the bottom. That way you get notified every time I make a movie or make a video. I'm not going to make a movie. Hopefully not yet. But yeah, and then I got a couple other videos coming up. This weekend was just kind of jam-packed with this and Elvis both coming out. So luckily I was able to see Elvis a little earlier than this, get the review out. But then, yeah, got a couple other videos coming down the pipe, and, we'll go from there. So you guys stay safe out there, and see you next time.